What did I think of the Doomsday trailer? I don't fucking know because I haven't seen it like most of y'all, but it was shown at CinemaCon. I've read enough about it to tell you this. It is already my favorite MCU movie, period. I'm just joking, but Marvel is cooking right now. Heard a lot of good shit about this trailer. We got Spider-Man Brand New Day coming in a couple months. We're over halfway through Daredevil Born Again Season 2. But for the first time this season, it did feel like we got a little bit of a filler episode. We're going to get into that. But Vanessa is actually gone this time. It's got me thinking. The Watcher showed up. She died in the comics. She dies in the Spider-Verse movies. And now in Daredevil Born Again. Is this a canon event? Maybe. Last time she was off, the Fist used a collider to rip a hole through the damn multiverse. What the hell is he going to do this time? Who the fuck knows? Plus, the road to WrestleMania 42 ends this weekend. And it's been a boring ass ride, dude. It feels like driving through New Jersey on 95. Unlike our Road to Secret Wars, this thing's heating up. This week's comics wrapped up Secret Invasion, kicks off Dark Reign. So buckle up or get snatched out of your chair faster than Jey Uso snatched Cameron up this week. Welcome to Mic Check. What's up, everybody? Appreciate y'all checking out the show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We are going to kick this off with some Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 5, the grand design. I do have to say that this, so far, has been my least favorite episode of this season. Doesn't mean it was a bad episode. It just felt like there was a lot of filler. And I get it. Sometimes shows just, they have that episode in the middle of the show that kind of slow everything down to maybe ramp it back up, which hopefully we get next week. But going back to the week before, episode 4, the gloves off episode, Vanessa's, Bullseye attacks. Vanessa's bleeding out. Oh my God. She didn't listen to her husband. We know how all that played out. But I was 50-50 on, is she really dead, or are they going to, bring her back, have her die in the hospital, stretch this thing out? Thankfully, they didn't stretch it out. Thankfully, it was only one more episode. But it's got me thinking, I mentioned this in the intro. We've seen her die now. In the comics, she dies. She dies in Into the Spider-Verse. That's kind of the whole, reason why Fisk is fucking around with this collider, why he's messing around with the multiverse. So now she dies in Daredevil Born Again. Is this one of those canon events? Like Peter Parker, Uncle Ben has to die in every universe, right? Gwen Stacy's got to fall in love with him. Her dad's got all this stuff. Now, is this another one of those events? Possibly. Is that why the Watcher showed up? Or did the Watcher show up because he saw what happened last time? She dies Into the Spider-Verse. Fist starts fucking around with the multiverse, trying to find another Vanessa. Could that be the case? Who knows? We see some. Let's just talk about Vanessa before we talk about the rest of the stuff. There's some flashbacks in this episode that I think I'm torn on them. I thought it was cool that they went back to the old Daredevil Netflix kind of aesthetics. I thought that was cool. Though at sometimes with the CGI, the de-aging, or maybe the AI, oh my God, they're using AI. It felt a little, and this was mostly with Vanessa, felt a little uncanny valley-esque. It did. Again, it ain't the end of the world. I mean, I saw a clip of someone from Disney talking about Doomsday and how a good chunk of the CGI in that movie was AI. And they said AI assisted or AI something. They used AI for a lot of the CGI, and they just said, hey, that's where this thing is going. We've said this shit for a long time here. That's where most industries are going. You will not be replaced by AI, but you might be replaced by somebody who can use AI to do your job. So Vanessa, hospital, they do drag it out a little bit. Fisk has some hope because he sees her, kind of coming back too, right? She wakes up post-surgery and they have this little moment. She tells us, she asked him to tell a story of how they first met at the gallery. They're kind of rewriting history a little bit, making it seem that they didn't really meet by chance, which is kind of the vibe I got from the original series. But she then asked for pineapple juice. This is something, I don't know if this was just, if this means nothing or there's a little deeper meaning behind this whole pineapple juice thing. When she asked for it, he said that, I thought you didn't like it. And she said something about how it made her lips tingle. Either way, gets her the pineapple juice, and shortly after, she fucking goes. Body's all going crazy, monitor flatlines, doctors try to stabilize her. Doesn't happen. She dies on screen. I'm wondering if she's allergic to pineapple juice, and maybe that's what did her in. Maybe, last week I was asking, do we blame Fisk for, breaking up the little ornament and hitting the side of her head? Well, do we now blame him for giving her fucking pineapple juice when she shouldn't have pineapple juice? Who knows? So, needless to say, she's gone, and it's a weird thing to say, but I'm a fan of her being gone in this show. I was getting tired, and then I know that, it's the writing of the character, and I get it. You're not supposed to, I guess, love this character, but I've had enough of her shit. It's funny, the two characters that I had enough of, Foggy and Vanessa, they're fucking gone. So I guess that's a good thing, maybe. But the other big piece of this episode, this is the part I did like, was seeing Bullseye and Daredevil with their fucking fucked up alliance, I guess. I mean, Matt, he is the no kill. He is even like, it's weird. I feel like because he tried to kill Bullseye, he almost feels like he owes him, even though Bullseye killed Foggy, because that was so against who Matt was. That there's such a interesting dynamic between these two. And we see them on the run. He abandons the whole AVTF to help Bullseye escape. They escape through the church. It's an uncomfortable alliance, I guess. But it's interesting because, I asked this question a couple weeks ago. How is Matt going to forgive Bullseye for killing Foggy? Is it one of those, it's just part of the job? He was paid to do it. He didn't go kill him on his own accord. He's an assassin. He's a mercenary. He was asked to go do this. Doesn't make it, less wrong. Doesn't make him undead. He's still fucking dead. He's still his best friend. But does that make it easier for Matt to forgive Bullseye for what he did? I don't know. I mean, it's a really great conversation point. Really tough thing to, I guess, see what side you land on. But let's just say I'm glad we got through this episode. It wasn't horrible by any means. It just was not my favorite episode of this show. What did y'all think? Where would you put this? This would be dead last so far. We've seen 5 episodes. This would be the 5th best one so far. But that being said, all the episodes have been great. So not a bad thing. Just a little bit of filler. Hopefully that means that next episode 6, and now we only have 3 left, 6, 7, 8, and 8's the finale. I'm still upset that they spoiled Jessica Jones. She hasn't shown up yet. They mentioned her name possibly a couple times in the first episode. Why did we need to spoil that? I don't think it's done much. I think it made people more or less. I think it was a waste to spoil. I think that, and that statement is something that I'm going to say probably a few times today, especially when we're talking about WrestleMania 42 and all the shit they spoiled there, and they still can't put motherfucking asses in the seats. So this episode, we'll dig into it a lot more on Only Comics, but it would not be my favorite episode by a long shot. I'd probably give this thing a 6 out of 10. Although the flashback scenes, they look cool. It kind of, nice way to remind me of that Netflix show. They kind of dragged. And I'm one of those fans that I don't need everything explained. I didn't like the movie Solo because I didn't need to know all that shit about Han Solo. I didn't think we needed a damn Book of Boba Fett show because he was a bounty hunter that showed up in other shit. I don't need to know all that backstory. I think even with the the whole Buck Wesley connection, it's cool, I guess. Not needed though. Let's just focus on the story that we got. I think we could have left a lot of that shit out, in my opinion. But next week, hopefully, it ain't a filler episode. Hopefully, we're back on track. Hopefully, it don't feel like this one. Hopefully, we got 3 left, dude. We got 3 left, so let's go out with a motherfucking bang. Speaking of going out with a bang, CinemaCon was this past week. I think it's still going on right now. I unfortunately was not there, like a lot of you guys. If anyone was, let us know. Send us a fucking video. But the Avengers Doomsday trailer, finally the rumor came true. The rumor, we saw a rumor earlier this week that this trailer was going to be shown at CinemaCon, whatever the fuck it's called. And it was. There's also The Rock, I guess, is at this event too. The event takes place in Vegas. WrestleMania 42 takes place in Vegas. People are saying, bro, you're right around the street. Are you going to swing on down? Maybe you acknowledge the tribal chief. Maybe you help CM Punk off the ground when he gets his ass whipped. Who the fuck knows? Maybe you help Jey Uso fight Cameron and Mace. I don't know what's going on. But CinemaCon's out there. They did debut the trailer. And oh my God, there's all kinds of videos and reactions and opinions and write-ups. But the one thing there hasn't been yet is a motherfucking video of this trailer. So I have read a lot about it. We're gonna talk about it, but before I dig into it, I am gonna give you 5 things that I loved about the Avengers Doomsday trailer. So I've not seen this trailer yet, but these are 5 things that I loved about the trailer based on what I read about it. And I can tell you that some of you, the last one, you're probably gonna hate. So number 1, I love that we are finally getting Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and the Avengers all in one movie. Plus we got Namor and his crew, the Wakandans. All of these characters, all of these groups that exist in the same universe that we've never got to see cross paths because of licensing rights and all this bullshit. It's happening. It's happening because of their incursions. I love that. I love that Thor is getting his redemption. We've heard about in this trailer him going toe-to-toe with Doom. He's got the hammer. He's got, Stormbreaker. He is back, short hair Thor. He is ready to fucking go. No more fat Thor. No more bitch-ass Thor. No more Love and Thunder Thor. Thor is getting his redemption, it sounds like. I love that Steve Rogers is back. I do. I think this story deserves Steve Rogers. I think that he was the main character in most of the MCU. Like, oh, it's Iron Man. 1A, 1-2, 1A, 1B, sure. But this whole story, he's the first Avenger. I'm glad that he's back. I don't know that he's back as Cap. Looks like he's back as just Steve Rogers. That's fine. He's still worthy. He's summoning Mjolnir. That's another thing. The other thing I love is that Doom is that guy. We have heard so much about this Doom character. Well, we've talked so much about Doom here on the podcast. Yeah, I got God Emperor Doom up behind me. And a lot of people, when Robert Downey Jr. was announced for this character, people are like, oh, it's a step down. What about Kang? Oh my God. Doom is that motherfucker. Thor can barely touch this guy. He's getting frustrated because his attacks ain't doing shit to him because he's Dr. Doom. So we're getting that version of Doom. And this last one, you're probably going to hate this, but it has been confirmed. Something that I have said over and over and over again, and people know it's now, oh my God, why are they getting Robert Downey Jr.? It's lazy. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Victor Von Doom, not some Tony Stark variant. I told you so. I told you so. I fucking told you so. He's been described to have a thick Eastern European accent. He's been described to have a scarred face. Who the fuck would have thought that, right? Doom with a scarred face. Oh my God. I told you, motherfuckers. I fucking told you. Not y'all that are watching the podcast, probably like some of the new viewers. You could see his scarring on his face through his mask. He's got the thick accent. They said that if they didn't tell you it was Robert Downey Jr., you wouldn't know it was Robbie Downey Jr. You wouldn't know it was Robert Downey Jr. So for all you people, what are you going to do when you see Tony Stark's face? just like I told y'all, they're not gonna fucking see Tony Stark's face. They're gonna see Doctor Doom. That is the one that I love the most. Some of y'all probably hate, but man, now, when do we get to see this motherfucker? Who the hell knows? Some other things that we've heard about this trailer: Gambit fighting Shang-Chi, and Gambit also fighting Cap, Sam Wilson. I'm thinking for Only Comics, Gambit's gonna be the one that I talk about on who the fuck is, because I'm reading this and I'm like, and I'm a Gambit fan. I'm a big Gambit fan from the animated series, X-Men 97, the comics, read a comic. I'm a big Gambit fan, but I know my man's limitations, or I think I do. I think I'm gonna need to do a who the fuck is Gambit this week, because I'm looking at these fights going, I don't think Gambit stands a chance against Shang-Chi. I don't know how much of a chance he stands against fucking Sam Wilson, Captain America. I could be wrong, but the vibranium shield, the suit, the wings, all that, I don't know. Shang-Chi, with his fighting abilities, with his ability to master the chi and use that inner strength, that power, I don't know if the old Cajun boy is gonna be able to stand a chance against these two motherfuckers. So we'll figure that out. But we also hear about Yelena fighting Mystique, Mystique turning into Yelena. We have Florence Pugh versus Florence Pugh. Oh my God. I'm glad that Mystique's back in this. Incursions, one of the things they said is a lot of the scenes, there's that red sky. Those of you that have already gone down this road to Secret Wars, y'all know what the fuck that means. It's incursion time. Worlds are colliding. Maybe we're getting a three-way incursion, an incursion with three different universes. Who the fuck knows? Steve Rogers returns and summons Mjolnir. There you go, Mjolnir. He's still worthy. He's back. Long hair, Steve, beard. So we're getting Steve, not Cap. So far, everything that I've read about this trailer's got me hyped. I hope we get to fucking see it sooner than later. And I'm glad that it hasn't spoiled a whole bunch either. A lot of this stuff's cool, but let's be honest, we've heard a lot of these rumors already. This ain't anything new. It's confirming some of this shit that we've heard, but I can't wait to see this motherfucker. And another thing that they're doing, they're still coming out December 18th. They're not moving because of Dune. They actually they say, you know what? You got all the IMAX screens, we'll create our own shit. They got this thing called Infinity Vision. They talked about it being the absolute best way to watch this movie, biggest screens, best visuals, best colors, best sounds, all this shit, which means that if you live somewhere like me, you probably ain't gonna have one of these screens near you. That's okay. But I just thought it was funny that they were like, you know what? You wanna take all the damn IMAX screens? We'll create our own shit. And it ain't gonna be IMAX, it's gonna be Infinity Vision, named after the greatest MCU movie of all time, Infinity War. So they're doing that. They're not moving the date, but man, and who knows? Maybe by the time you're watching this, we've already seen the trailer, and oh my God. But I would, if it hasn't been leaked yet, I don't think it's going to be leaked. I really don't. I think we'll have to wait until they show it, and it sounds like the best bet is going to be Mandalorian and Grogu movie drops May 22nd. It will probably be a teaser trailer for that movie. So don't think we're getting it for, at least another month, but that's what we've heard about it. I'm going to switch gears really. We're going to go crazy out in left field real quick. We talked about early on Mike Check. This is episode 20, by the way. So appreciate y'all that have helped make this a thing. So 20 episodes in. On the early episodes, we talked about this singer, this rapper, David, and the death of this 14-year-old girl that was found in an abandoned car of his. Well, it happened. They finally arrested this dude. He was arrested Thursday in connection with the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. According to the LAPD, he's being held without bail because her body was found in his impounded Tesla, which was registered to his name. This was back in September of this past year, a day after her 15th birthday. And, you know, I hate to be that guy to go, someone's guilty before they're proven guilty, but he had this relationship with her. She's underage. He was young too. I mean, he's 21 now. But still, she would have been a minor. He would have not have been. And they allegedly had this relationship. They even shared the same tattoo. She goes missing, never hear from her again. And her body's found in the trunk of his fucking Tesla. So, those, I know there's a handful of y'all that were interested in this. So I will keep you posted at more I read shit about this. He was actually staying at the home, or a home that used to be owned by Sandra Bullock. This was a house out in California that rented for, according to Zillow, 17 and a half or 17,500 a month. So dude was getting money somewhere, and this little run did not fucking last. So got arrested this past Thursday. So update everybody who was watching me since episode 1, 2, where we discussed that. But now let's get into something that's happening this weekend. The big motherfucking event, the end of the season, WrestleMania. WrestleMania, it feels different every year. You know, I'm someone that grew up on WWE. I mean, I was born the same year as WrestleMania, 85, WrestleMania 1. And this is something that has gone from an event that was on closed circuit television in 85 to a worldwide media event, a massive 2-day. It's not even it's literally like a week long, pretty much. Probably 4 days. Probably it's like a 4-day event. I've actually had the I guess pleasure of going to 2 different WrestleManias. I went to my first WrestleMania I went to was WrestleMania 11. This was in 95. I was at that time 9 years old. Hartford Civic Center, which is now, it was the XL Center. They just rebranded it again. This capacity for this massive event, the one I went to, was 16,305. So we went, my uncle actually took me, my cousin, and maybe it was 2 of my cousins, or just, I can't remember. But I know it was me and my cousin and my uncle, and we sat in the second to last row. We were all, anyone that has in the area have ever gone to the Civic Center, those top rows are up there. So we sat all the way up there. We actually ended up watching it more on the TVs that were above us than below because we were so far away. My uncle brought binoculars, so we would swap those back and forth. But it was awesome to go. I was a diehard WWF fan at the time. The main event, you talk about celebrities. The main event was Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow. So random. Pamela Anderson was there. Jenny McCarthy was there. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Salt and Pepper was there. This was the Mania where Shawn Michaels wrestled Diesel. And even though that was his boy, he put on a clinic. And even though he was supposed to be the heel, he kind of forced, that babyface turn. But that was 16,000 people. I mean, there's more people at most Raws and SmackDowns nowadays. That was not an event like the ones they do today. I mean, the gate for this event was 1.3 million. The next year they were up in Arrowhead Pond in California. That was Shawn won the title from Brett, 60-minute Iron Man match. But fast forward, the second WrestleMania that I have the pleasure of going to was WrestleMania 40, WrestleMania XL in Philly, Lincoln Financial Field. What a fucking difference. This event was packed. It was an awesome WrestleMania. I think now it's only been one event since then, but this felt like the last of the great WrestleManias because of where we're going, because of how fucking bad last year was. And they can't even sell tickets. Like, I think what they're doing now is it's that money over everything. We made a shit ton of money in Vegas last year. Critically, I don't think anyone loved that WrestleMania. We had some great matches, right? I mean, the 3-way, Seth, Punk, and Reigns was really good. Cody and Cena was a shit show. it's got the all-time combined pro wrestling gate. I mean, it's 66 million this thing brought in. You had some celebrities there. You had Rick Rubin, you had O'Shea Jackson Jr., you had Lil Yachty, you had Jelly Roll, either, part of the show or just kind of in the background. This was in Vegas, and this is the first time, I'm looking back, I got a list of all the Manias here. This is the first time that they ran a WrestleMania in the same city back-to-back years, as far as I can remember. I mean, you go back to the first one. The first one was in New York City, MSG. The second one was in 3 different spots. It was at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois, and then in LA at the LA Memorial Sports Arena. That, I guess, was an utter failure, trying to do 3 different events. WrestleMania 3 was at the Pontiac Silverdome, 93,000 in attendance. That was a big event. That was a Hulk versus Andre. You had celebrities at every WrestleMania. So the fact that celebrities being involved is just something that has always happened. I think that when they get too involved, like you got Pat McAfee in this feud with Cody and Randy, I think that's a little much. I don't mind IShowSpeed in a match with Logan Paul and these guys, and on the, basically which feels like the pre-show. I'm fine with that. But going through year by year, then you had WrestleMania 5. This was at Atlantic City Convention Hall. This was Randy versus $1 Million Man for the main event. Then you had WrestleMania, that was 4, I'm sorry. WrestleMania 5 was, hold on. We do got 2 back-to-back in the same city. Funny, it's another gambling city. So in 88, WrestleMania 4 was at the Atlantic City Convention Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And WrestleMania 5 was at the same place. Now, they had about the same attendance. WrestleMania 4 at 18,000 and change, and WrestleMania 5 almost 19,000. You had Savage in both of those main events. First year against Ted DiBiase. Second year was against Hulk Hogan. Then they went to the Sky Dome, brother. It was in Toronto, 1990. WrestleMania 6, Hogan versus Warrior. I love that match. As a kid, it's one of my favorite matches. 67,000 people at the Sky Dome. Massive Mania. 3.4 million at this gate. You had Mary Tyler Moore, Steve Allen were the celebrities there. Next year, they went out to LA. They're back at the Memorial Sports Arena, 16,000 people there. You had the Sarge versus Hulk Hogan. Regis Philbin was there. Fucking Willie Nelson, Macaulay Culkin was part of it. WrestleMania 8 in 92, this was at the Hoosier Dome, 62,000 people. So they had some big gates back then. 1.25 million at that gate. This was Hulk Hogan versus Psycho Sid, or Sid Justice at the time. Let's see, WrestleMania 9, Caesar's Palace. This was, dude, maybe just stay out of Vegas. Maybe just stay out of Vegas, because WrestleMania 9 was at Caesar's Palace. This was a fucking shitty ass show, man. The togas, I remember the aesthetic was cool. I'm not going to lie. Aesthetic was cool. But the main event, you had Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. Bret loses to Yoko. And motherfucking Hulk Hogan comes out and gets a match right on the spot and wins the title right on the spot in an unannounced, just thrown together match just so Hogan could win, because, this definitely worked for him, brother. I remember as a kid, like, I was pissed because I was a Bret Hart fan. Like, that makes no sense. Why the fuck is Hulk Hogan having a match with Yokozuna after he just won this belt? It doesn't make any sense at all. The next year, WrestleMania 10. This was a great I remember watching this WrestleMania a lot as a kid. I remember going to Blockbuster, renting the VHSs of these WrestleManias. This one I actually had my cousin next door. They would get these on pay-per-view. I would never be able to get them. Not until I got a job and started paying for them myself. But she would get them. And I remember she recorded it on the VHS, and we would watch this motherfucker over and over and over again. You had the Bret Hart-Owen match in the beginning, phenomenal match. That match was to decide, I think, who went on to the main event against Yoko when it was Bret. Bret ended up winning the belt. This was when the whole babyface roster comes out. They pick up Bret Hart. Oh my God, he won. This was a great, great show. You had Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon in the ladder match. Maybe the first, one of the first, definitely the first at WrestleMania. Great match. That match still holds up to this day. This was a phenomenal WrestleMania. Then the one we went to, WrestleMania 11, not so much. It still was a great experience, but when you rank it up against all of these other WrestleMania, it's like, eh. WrestleMania 10, though, had Little Richard, Burt Reynolds, Donnie Wahlberg was there. And so we talked about 11. That was in Harvard Civic Center. WrestleMania 12, that's in Anaheim, California, the Arrowhead Pond. That was a 60-minute Iron Man match. I actually think that's one of the most overrated matches in the history of WWE. As much as I love both of those guys and their careers and their ring work, that was not one of my favorite matches of either one of them. Also, wasn't a lot of celebrity presence that year. It was mostly focused on the wrestlers. So they got away from celebrities for a couple years. And then the following year, WrestleMania 13, they got away from celebrities there. The main event was Psycho Sid versus The Undertaker. But I think what everybody remembers about WrestleMania 13 was Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, submission match, the blood, the sharpshooter. He don't give up. He passes the fuck out. That iconic image of him just straining. He's up, in like a push-up stance, the sweat and the blood's dripping down his face. That was a phenomenal match, one of my all-time favorite matches. This is a time where, dude, I was a diehard fan at this point. I was like 11, 12 years old, 13, 14 for WrestleMania 13 and 14. The next year, this WrestleMania 14 was the first pay-per-view that I rented at home and was able to watch. I think I saved up some birthday money or something and gave it to my dad to, buy a bribe. I'm like, can you please? Oh my God, I want to see it. I had a little party, had some friends over watching WrestleMania 14. This was in, it was right up in Boston, Fleet Center, 19,000 people in attendance, $1 million at the gate. The main event was Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin's first title reign. This was, you had Mike Tyson as the special outside enforcer. Wasn't a lot of celebrities here either. You had Mike Tyson and I think Pete Rose. That was it. Pete Rose gets tombstoned by Kane with the Undertaker-Kane match. WrestleMania 14 is, I don't know where I would rank it on, my list of manias, but it's got a special place for me because of how big of a wrestling fan I was. This was the DX era, sucking and flipping everybody off, Stone Cold Steve Austin. This was a different time. And, being 12, 13 years old at the time, dude, I was all about this shit. But, I think about this Mania, and I think about, we'll get to 42. It's this time, WrestleMania 14, I remember this era as a time where they being WWF at the time, they weren't begging celebrities to come in to be a part of this shit. Now they had Mike Tyson. They had Mike Tyson. He wasn't, a tag team partner. He wasn't in there, because he felt that, the wrestling hasn't been good lately. He was in there. He was a part of DX. He was a part of the team. He was a controversial figure. He was the baddest man on the planet. The baddest man on the planet. Remember all that shit? And WWF at the time was so popular that it became pop culture. And because of that, we would see WWF stars on MTV. You see them on other shows that weren't wrestling. I think the outside world was looking at these guys like their product is so hot right now. Let's bring some of these motherfuckers over here. Now we got a whole different thing going on. It feels more like our shit has not been that good lately. So let's bring some of these other stars here to help push our shit out there. I've seen a lot of these guys on podcasts lately. It's not a bad thing. They hadn't come by here, which is weird. But we saw Jey Uso. He was on Cam and Mace's show. I forget the name of it. And they did a cool little skit. And for anybody, no, Cameron and Jey Uso did not really get into it. I know I don't think that Jay would have been walking out like he did if he really put hands on Cam and it wasn't part of the plan. Like, you think that somebody's gonna snatch somebody else up on a podcast over the fucking desk, punch him in the face, allegedly, and we ain't gonna see nothing about it. Nobody's gonna press charges. Nobody's gonna get in trouble. Like, we're not gonna, WWE ain't gonna make a statement like that was, no, and it's great. It's great that it was done so well that people are unsure. People are thinking, like, I've read a lot of the comments on these videos, and most motherfuckers, they're being worked, you know, as Hulk Hogan would say, work yourself into a shoot, brother. Speaking of Hogan, they released a bronze statue of Hogan. Now, apparently WWE, whoever made the statue, forgot about Hogan's racism, because I don't think he'd be down with having a bronze statue of him. So I'm just based off of some comments he's made. But anyways, statue of Hogan. Hogan's one of those characters where it's hard. It's not. For me, I gotta separate the art from the person, because I've heard those things that he said, and because of who I am, it does not sit right with me. But it also doesn't erase all the contributions he's had to a business, a form of entertainment that I'm a big fan of. So it's hard. It's I can't look at him the same, but I also can't. You can't talk about WrestleMania without talking about fucking Hulkamania. You know, it's so I'm curious to those of you that WWE fans, where do you fall with that? Is it like he's not quite Chris Benoit territory for me, where I'm just like, I don't even want to fucking think about the guy, talk about it. I mean, these were fucked up things that he said versus these disgusting things that this individual did to his family and himself. It's, you know, still, I don't look at Hogan the same way I look at a Stone Cold or a HBK or Undertaker. I can't, because of the things that, you know, were said. But he got himself a fucking bronze statue. So there you go. But this event, 14, was great. It ended with Stone Cold winning the belt from Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was on his way out because of the back injury. Didn't think he'd ever wrestle again. And then we get into this era where, I mean, 14 kicked it off, but talk about attitude era. The next year they're in Philly, WrestleMania 15, The Rock and Stone Cold, the first of their 3 main events. And this was a great match. I know everybody gravitates more towards WrestleMania 17 main event as just a perfect match. That ending doesn't sit well with me on that one. This is a great one. All 3. I mean, they literally knocked it out of the park 3 times at WrestleMania and at Backlash, I think, right after this 1999 one. So the Philly one, weren't many celebrities there either. You had Boyz II Men. I think they may have sung America the Beautiful, possibly. And then Pete Rose again. I think he got tombstoned again at this one. $1.4 million gate, 19,000 people at the First Union Center in Philly. WrestleMania 2000, WrestleMania 16, whatever you want to call it, they were back in Anaheim, California at the Arrowhead Pond, 18,000 in attendance. This was the 4-way, Triple H versus The Rock versus Mick Foley versus Big Show, a McMahon in every corner. You know, we were getting a little McMahon heavy there. WrestleMania 17, X7. This was a great fucking WrestleMania. A lot of people put this on their, you know, top of their list. It's at the Astrodome in Houston. Rock versus Austin. Stone Cold turns on or joins forces with Vince McMahon at the end of this. He knew it was a mistake. He talked about it after the fact, but at the time, it was a hell of a fucking moment. $3.5 million gate. This is when WCW's no more. ECW's no more. We're starting to see a little bit of this, you know, invasion, which I think is full-blown invasion on WrestleMania 18, X8. Jericho versus Triple H was the main event, but we all know what the fucking main event was here. It was The Rock and Hogan. Phenomenal match. And then WrestleMania 19, Safeco Field. Main event was Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. Great main event. Brock with the shooting star press damn near snaps his fucking neck, but doesn't. Ends up winning the belt. We also had, at the time, Stone Cold's last match with The Rock. 19 was a great Mania. 20, you had Benoit, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, main event. This was back at MSG. And then I actually, around this time, I checked out. I'd stopped watching wrestling for almost 10 years. So I'd missed all of these. The Triple H, Batista in LA the following year. John Cena and Triple H in 22. I missed that. Now, I've gone back and watched a lot of these matches in WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. This is when these things started becoming massive events. So you go from, Allstate Arena in WrestleMania 22, 17,000 people, Cena and Triple H. Then the following year, it's at Ford Field in Detroit. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, $5.3 million gate. You had Donald Trump in the fucking Battle of the Billionaires here. 80,000 people at WrestleMania 23. At 24, 74,000 people. This was Edge and The Undertaker. If I'm not mistaken, this is the main event, or this is the event where Ric Flair retired. Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair. And then 25, we got that amazing streak match, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. I know they had back-to-back matches. This one may be my favorite. This was, it's a perfect match, phenomenal match. The main event was Triple H and Orton, but it should have been these two. And then the following year, 26, Taker and HBK, main event in Phoenix, 72,000. And each one of these Manias I talked about since 23 all had over 70,000 fans in attendance. Shawn Michaels retires, loses to The Undertaker, $5.8 million gate. 27, you had the Georgia Dome, Miz and John Cena. That was the main event. They're bringing The Rock back next year at Sun Life Stadium in Miami. The Rock versus Cena. Rock wins. And then the following year, they get the rematch, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, 80,000 people in attendance. This Mania was broke 10 million. It was 12.3 at the gate. Diddy was the celebrity for that one. What do you know? And that was Rock versus Cena again in the main event. WrestleMania 30. This is where I check back in. WrestleMania 30 is where I hop back into wrestling. 75,000 people at the Superdome in New Orleans. Main event was Randy versus Batista and Daniel Bryan. Phenomenal main event. Phenomenal event. This was a really good event. The streak was broken. You had the Daniel Bryan Triple H match in the beginning. You had the Bray Wyatt Cena match. Great match. This was a really, really good main. It was a good time to get back into wrestling. And then 31. 31 was also one of my favorite WrestleManias. Levi Stadium, 76,000 people. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns was the main event. Seth Rollins, the heist of the century, cashed in on that motherfucker. Great, great fucking WrestleMania. 32, they broke 100K in attendance. AT&T Stadium, Triple H, Roman Reigns main event. Not a good main event, not at all. And then it was that traditional slow burn Triple H match that just, 33, Undertaker versus Reigns. That was a fucking shit show. Taker shouldn't have been in the ring at that point. Obviously, but another 75,000 in attendance. WrestleMania 34, Brock versus Reigns. This was actually a pretty good match. A lot of people shit all over it. This is when Brock busted him open with the elbow, leaves him in a puddle of blood. I thought this was a pretty cool match. WrestleMania 35, this was Ronda Rousey, Charlotte, Becky in the first female main event. 82,000 people in attendance. This was a good one. And following year, that was 2019. That was at MetLife Stadium. And then COVID hit. And then we had a WrestleMania with the attendance of motherfucking zero. 2 nights at the Performance Center. This was painful to watch. This whole Thunderdome era was so hard to get through and watch. Undertaker had I guess that was his last match, right? I don't think he's wrestled since then. I think that was his retirement match, AJ Styles, that cinematic match. That actually was cool. And then you had Brock versus Drew McIntyre, which was just a bullshit-ass match. And then the Big Show comes out and supposedly that's the real main event. I don't fucking know. And then WrestleMania 37 was here's the thing: Performance Center Mania was the first 2-night Mania. Then next year, WrestleMania 37 was 2 nights. That was from Tampa, where the Bucks play, and they had a very low attendance because of the restricted capacity due to COVID, 25,000 per night, pretty much. Main event night 1 was Sasha versus Bianca. I don't even remember that match. And night 2 was Reigns versus Edge and Daniel Bryan, where he stacked these motherfuckers up and pinned both of them. Bad Bunny wrestled in a tag team match. Logan Paul was there. WrestleMania 38, they're back in AT&T Stadium. Night 1, 65,000 people. Night 2, 65,000. Stone Cold comes out of retirement, faces Kevin Owens. That was a fun match. Night 2 was Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. I actually thought that was a really good match too. Johnny Knoxville wrestled Sami Zayn. Logan Paul wrestled in the tag team match. Fucking Pat McAfee wrestled. So I see why, people may think that, oh, we should get some of these motherfuckers back in. But thing is, it worked then. Doesn't mean you have to have them at every single WrestleMania. WrestleMania 39, the Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn main event night 1. It was the first time tag team titles main evented a Mania. That was a great match. Reigns versus Cody. I thought this was the right decision to have Reigns win. Solo, helps protect the title. Snoop Dogg hosted and wrestled, I guess, a little impromptu match. That was cool. Bad Bunny was there. Logan Paul wrestled Seth Rollins. Is I think where he's starting to become more of a, full time or a more time. 67,000 people there both nights. That was at SoFi Stadium in California. We talked about 40. I had the pleasure of going there. 72,000 people each night. Night 1 was The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody and Seth Rollins. That was a fucking fun-ass match. This was a great match. I had a lot of fun both nights. Night 2 was Reigns versus Cody. Finished the story. As much as I'm not a huge Cody fan, this was an amazing moment to be a part of. This made it 38.5 million combined for both nights. You had Jason Kelsey there. Snoop Dogg was there doing some commentary. I Show Speed got involved. Lil Wayne came out. And then last year was at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. 58,000 night 1, 60,000 night 2. Main event of night 1 was Seth versus Punk versus Reigns. Night 2 was Cody versus Cena. All-time combined pro wrestling gate of 66 million. So here's the problem. The problem for us fans, right? I would argue that, and that was a lot to say this, I would argue that WrestleMania 40 was a much better WrestleMania than WrestleMania 41, okay? More people, almost, 15,000 more, roughly, per night? 72,000 on average per night, about 58 to 60,000 on average last year. But the revenue, so the combined gate of WrestleMania 40 was 38.5 million. Lot more seats, lot more people, 38.5 million. Well, why was the revenue from last year a lot less people? Well, I said probably 30,000 less tickets sold. 66 million. It's a lot of fucking, almost 30 million more. It's a lot of fucking money. Because of the ticket prices. So what TKO do? They said, well, shit, we're leaving money on the table. They literally said this. They said, we're leaving money on the table. Vince McMahon had this shit priced for families to go. I know, I took my family to this event. It was a phenomenal event. We went to WrestleMania, the World, that whole setup. We went to SmackDown that Friday. Took everybody to SmackDown. And then for the 2 nights, we split it up. I went to both nights. I took, my daughter one night, my son the next night. But we could figure it out. We could afford to do the whole thing. I looked at WrestleMania 41 and I was like, ain't no fucking way in hell I can make that happen with my whole family. It was not a family trip. I could have went by myself. And I'm like, I looked at the card. I was gonna go, me and my wife. We were just gonna go, and looking at the card, looking at the matches being advertised, and looking at how, it would have cost us more for me and her to go than it did for me to take everybody to WrestleMania 40. Because like the fucking TKO boss said, Vince had it priced for families. I love going to these events with my family. TKO does not. They have it priced for one guy go by himself. So they made a shit ton more money last year with 30,000 less people. So what did they do? The Mania was supposed to be, I believe it was supposed to go back to New Orleans, 41. I could be wrong. They're going right back to Vegas. They're jacking the ticket prices up even more. Because shit, we made $66 million last year. Might not make a fucking $100 million this year. Here's the problem though. The tickets aren't selling. Why? Because people are tired of fucking taking out a second mortgage just to go to goddamn WrestleMania by themselves. This is as of this past week, as of like yesterday, the Saturday show, same facility, by the way. Last year, Saturday, 58,000 tickets sold. As of right now, they're at 42,000 for Saturday. So that is 16,000 less tickets sold, and the event starts motherfucking tomorrow. The Sunday show's at 43 and some almost 43,000. Last year, that was 60,000. Now, they still got some time, but I don't think they're going to sell 10,000 tickets from today to tomorrow, dude. They moved about 3,000 tickets in the past week for the Saturday show and about 2,200 for the Sunday show in the past week because they discounted the fucking tickets. This is the shit people don't get worked. People are like, oh, Punk, can you believe CM Punk's pipe bomb? He said that, the prices of tickets were way too high and look what happened. WWE, they discounted them that week. No, okay. That's called by design. Believe it or not, even Punk, I know, the voice of the voiceless, the pipe bomb, oh my God. They give him the promo. Here, you can say this stuff. Now, bullet points, whatever, but he doesn't just, hey, take the mic and say whatever the fuck you want. It's not how it works. I guarantee you, they told him to take shots at TKO. They told him, because it's a show. It's a it's a show within a show almost. Take shots, talk about the ticket prices, and then on Friday, we're going to lower them. So all the voiceless out there, they're going to think that you are sticking up for them. He's just doing his job. So they discounted the ticket prices, and they still can't fill this motherfucker. But the fucked up part is the tickets are so damn expensive, they probably still will make more this year at Vegas than next year they're going to fucking Saudi Arabia, and based on what the Saudis are paying them, they'll probably make $100 million on that fucking event. So, and I guess what has happened was they're not discounting like the get-in price, like the drop-dead price. They're actually lowering the cost on some of the higher price seats. Well, why? Because they don't give a fuck if the upper, like where I sat at WrestleMania 11, they don't care if that shit is empty. But they want the lower band where you can see on TV those C-level seats and everything and all the floor and all around the ring. They want those to be full, so they're lowering those ticket prices. But it's unfortunate as a fan because I said this earlier. It's just money over everything, right? Money over quality of the event, because they think that bringing in Pat McAfee is going to help sell tickets. So they spend money on bringing him in when they could have just not and maybe just lowered the price. Hey, WWE, or TKO, whoever the fuck it is, let me give you some advice here. The reason why, there's two reasons why these seats aren't full. One, the build to Mania has been mid at best. Nobody wants Pat McAfee there. We don't need John Cena to host. He just retired like 2 weeks ago. Why is he back hosting? You're paying for I Show Speed. Not a bad addition. He's not needed though. We don't need him. We needed y'all to take the time you had and write better stories to get us engaged, to get us interested, to get us going, oh my God, you haven't done that. So the build has been mid, and then you got these outrageous fucking ticket prices. you're pricing out families. Same thing that's going on in the fucking movies right now. I've seen some posts this past week about families complaining. Like there was this mom who took her. It was I'm sure y'all have seen this post going viral. It's a Super Mario movie. It was $90, 2 tickets, fucking popcorn, soda, and some snacks. 90. That's crazy, dude. Now I do this podcast. It's all based off of movies, media. So I'm gonna go. It's kind of like gas prices. It's just the gas price through. I still got to fill up my car. Yeah, it sucks, but I'm not gonna fucking walk. So I'm still gonna go. But I understand people that don't necessarily need to go see the movie. Right? They can wait till it ends up on one of the 20 streaming platforms that we all pay for. They're pricing out families, dude. It's crazy. That being said, I'm gonna watch this motherfucker. I'm gonna watch it all weekend long. It's a 2-day event. I'm gonna go through the matches real quick, and I'm gonna give you my predictions. So starting with Saturday's matches, there are 2 matches that will take place on the first hour, the first hour of the show will feature 2 matches that will take place on ESPN2. They're really, really trying with this whole ESPN relationship. So they're giving 2 matches technically for free if you're not subscribed to their app. Those matches are the 6-man tag, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, I Show Speed versus the Usos and LA Knight. And dude, what a drop-off for the Usos, in my opinion. You're going from, and you could argue, well, the first match is like the second main event. Okay, sure. Usually when it's a Brock Lesnar match or there's a title on the line, you're going from main eventing as a tag team a couple years ago to facing each other 2 years ago and Jay winning the belt last year against Gunther, and now you're essentially on the pre-show, it feels like, in a way. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just getting that vibe. You got that match. I'm going with the Usos and LA Knight. Then you have the unsanctioned match, Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre. I think this is going to be a fun match. That's probably going to be the kickoff match. That's the one that's going to feel like the second main event, and I'm going with Jacob Fatu. Then you have the women's tag team Fatal 4-Way, Nia Jackson, Lash Legend. They're champions. I don't even know who the fuck Lash Legend is. I know that she's Nia's tag team partner. They're facing Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and the Bella Twins. I'm going to say the Bella Twins. Here's why. There's a rumor. Rumor is Nikki Bella's not cleared to wrestle. Her ankle's all fucked up from something that happened a couple weeks ago. And the rumor is that Paige is going to return to WWE. She's cleared to wrestle. She's going to be the stand-in for this match. So I think because of that, they're going to win the belts, and then that will cause a feud between Nikki and Paige because they seem to like this nostalgic act with the women that used to be divas or whatnot. Speaking of women, you got the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. I'm going with AJ Lee. I think she's going to retain. Seth Rollins versus Gunther. It fucking pains me to say this, but I think Gunther's winning. I do. I think there'll be some shenanigans. I think something will happen, but I think Gunther's winning. Stephanie Vakor and Liv Morgan. I think Stephanie's going to retain the title. Liv don't need the belt. I think the loss will actually add a little more. I mean, she can take that and run with it. I don't think that's going to hurt her. And then the undisputed WWE Championship match, Cody Rhodes, the champ, versus Randy Orton with Pat McAfee. I gotta imagine if they're doing all this, bringing Pat in, I'm thinking Randy's going to win the belt here. I'm going to go with Randy. And then now we got the Sunday match card. So 2 matches featured in the first hour, which will be on ESPN or ESPN proper, as they were saying. You have the Intercontinental Championship ladder match, Penta, who's champ, versus Javon Evans versus Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough versus Rusev versus Rey Mysterio. I think Javon Evans is winning this. Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi. I'm still thinking Brock Lesnar's winning this. I am. I think this feud will continue. I think Brock's winning this. I think it's going to be some fuckery. I think Oba's going to get cheated in a way. I think he's going to beat the shit out of Brock. And I think that we're going to see this feud continue for, 1 or 2 more matches. So I think Brock's going over on Sunday. United States Championship match, Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams. I think Sami's winning. I do. And these are what I predict, not what I want, by the way. The Demon, Finn Balor, which was spoiled. Why the fuck was this spoiled? Why did you tell us that the Demon was going to show up at WrestleMania? There literally was no reason to tell us. We're watching anyways. This is not one of the most high-profile matches. Dominic's always entertaining. We're down with it. You didn't have to tell us that it was going to be the Demon. Imagine the pop. Imagine the reaction online. Imagine how everybody would have responded if the Demon's music hit, the lights go out, we hear that heartbeat, we see Finn crawling down that fucking ramp, versus announcing that the Demon is showing up. Women's Championship match, Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea is winning that. Heavyweight Championship match, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. I gotta acknowledge Tribal Chief will be walking away with the World Heavyweight Championship, sending CM Punk on another fucking sabbatical. Leave us alone, old man Punk. Give the belt back to the Tribal Chief. That's one I think's gonna happen, and I fucking hope it's gonna happen. So those are my predictions. I'm looking forward as much as I can look forward to this event. And I guess it's going to be downhill for this year. And then next year they're in Saudi Arabia. So that's a whole nother fucking thing. WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. Money talks. Money over everything is their new motto, I believe. So Road to motherfucking Secret Wars is up next. So here's where we're at. We got the Secret Invasion finale. We got the Thunderbolts leader, Norman Osborn, literally stealing the thunder from the Avengers. He forms the Cabal. Doom and Namor, they're more aligned than anybody else in that crew. Luke Cage is willing to do anything to get his daughter back. Tony's fired from the Avengers. He's fired from S.H.I.E.L.D. Norman becomes the Iron Patriot. He's the new man in charge. He creates his little Dark Avengers. Everything is fucked 6 ways from Sunday, as they say. And we are not even close to Secret Wars yet. We're fucking just getting going on this road. It's been a lot of fucking fun so far. So let's hop into these issues real quick. So this past week, we read a handful of comics. Secret Invasion number 8. We wrapped up Secret Invasion, so that was fun. We also read, let me get them in order here. So we read Secret Invasion number 8. Then we read The New Avengers number 48, which is the beginning of Dark Reign. Really good story. We read Secret Invasion, Dark Reign, the one-shot, and then we wrapped it up with another Dark Reign read, Dark Avengers. So this week was a lot of fun. Let's get our read a comic. Let's get this up here. So a big moment from Secret Invasion number 8 was the kill shot. The shot heard around the world. So as you can see here on the splash page, you got Wasp, who was turned into a bomb by the Skrulls, and unfortunately, they're activating that shit. You got the Watcher back there watching. Of course, he's watching. Everything's blown the fuck up. Thor really helps contain this bomb. I mean, Thor comes through as like the MVP for a little bit, and now we have who we know is the Queen. We thought it was Spider-Woman. We thought it was Jessica Drew. It's not. It's Queen Varanki. I probably fucked the name up, but that's what we're going with. And Wolverine in this battle, he's getting ready to finish this shit. You got Norman Osborn there with the rifle, Bullseye behind him. This was thing about Secret Daredevil back there, Nick Fury, the Hood. Thing about Secret Invasion takes place after Civil War, after House of M, all these stories we read. It's the first time we see all of these characters back together on the same team, and even with some villains helping them out a little bit. As you can see, though, Wolverine's getting ready to finish it off, but motherfucking Norman Osborn, he takes the shot. He makes sure you got the camera crews behind him. He takes the kill shot. He gets the credit. Thor attacks the Skrull ship up above, and what does that do? Well, shows you that all those missing Avengers, we found them. The actual Spider-Woman, the actual Elektra, someone in Iron Man suit. What the fuck's going on? Oh, that's actually Iron Man, my bad. Sue Storm. So all of the Avengers that were being impersonated by the Skrulls, we find most of the real ones on this ship. But the thing about Norman doing what he did, it sets him up for this road, this trip down this dark lane with the Dark Avengers. The other thing, if you remember from last week's reads, was that Jessica Jones left her baby with Jarvis, but it wasn't Jarvis, it was a Skrull. So she's going back. She realizes that at this point when she sees the real Jarvis, and they took the motherfucking baby. That really it fucks up a lot of shit, and it sends Luke down a path which we will get to. So Clint finds his wife. So Clint Mockingbird, she was trapped on this ship, so they reconnect. As you can see here, they're making out. Oh my god. Sue and Reed reconnect. They go back to the Baxter building and realize that, the uncles, they took care of it, dude. The unks, Thing and Human Torch took care of the babies. But things are pretty fucked up, and Tony gets fired right on the spot because it was his tech that got hacked. It partly was, or at least took all the blame. He got fired from leading the Avengers and leading S.H.I.E.L.D., and they put Norman Osborn in his spot because the shot heard around the world. He took that motherfucker. So he made sure the news cameras were there. He made sure that he took the shot. So to the public, Tony Stark, his tech failed. He let the aliens invade. And then Norman Osborn saved humanity. It's the story that you can tell, not the one that is the truth, I guess. So President fires Tony right on the spot. S.H.I.E.L.D's dismantled, and it's replaced by Norman's group, Hammer. All right, the end screen here. Norman's meeting the boy Dr. Doom. The man's there. You got Loki. You got Hood, female Loki for some reason. You got Namor, and you got Emma Frost. And that is the end of this. So while Norman is celebrating, Luke Cage is experiencing his worst fucking nightmare, which we'll get to in the new Avengers. So here's kind of the battlefield at the end. Fast forward the next day, Spidey, Wolverine, they're up in the Bronx. They're in some hideout. And the rest of the Avengers are there. Well, what's left of them. Ronan, Mockingbird, which Ronan is Clint. And Spider-Woman shows up. They're not really sure they want her there because of the whole Skrull stuff, but Wolvie's like, dude, I invited her. She, wasn't her, it was a Skrull version. And this is Captain America's apartment, which now Cap's dead, so Bucky's taken over. And this is Bucky. I kind of like this Cap suit. It's like Cap up top, Bucky on the bottom. So they got this little covert crew here. But they're on the run, dude. They've all been dismantled. Norman's in charge. And Luke is just, they're worried about the baby. Rightfully so. But they are the team. They go find on the Fantastic Four. They're looking for those devices to figure out who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull. Because they know that, or they believe he's still around because all the airports, all shit's been shut down, but they don't know where the fuck he is. So they go on a little hunt here. S.H.I.E.L.D. has been, dismantled. So all the ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are fucking hanging out, partying, getting drunk. They do find this Skrull here. But unfortunately, one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. members fucking kills it while Jessica Jones is trying to get the answer to where her baby was. So that leads Luke to, puts him in a really desperate situation where he goes to see Norman Osborn. He's got the Thunderbolts behind Venom, Bullseye. And Norman basically works out a deal with him. You join me, I'll help you find your son. All right, Secret Invasion, Dark Reign. This is, let's talk about Luke real quick. He refused to compromise his morals during Civil War. He fought in the underground, fought the Skrulls, did all that shit, right? And the reward he got was they kidnapped his son. So in this new era that we're in with this, Skrull, Secret Invasion, it's kind of like you play by the rules, you get punished. The Dark Reign, the one shot. So this next comic here. I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about the artwork in this one, but it's an important read. This is where Norman puts the Cabal together. You got Doom, you got Namor, you got Emma Frost, Loki in the Hood. He offers them a deal. He'll give them whatever they want. Doom, you can get Latveria back because he's been exiled. Namor, you get your oceans. Hood, you get the streets. He's now kind of taking over for Kingpin. As long as they back his play and never cross him. So they all take that deal. Now, what you'll notice in here, you'll notice is the artwork isn't my favorite. Well, you won't notice that. I noticed that. You notice how powerful Emma Frost is, but she can't read Doom's mind, and he kind of warns her, like, don't. And then Doom knows there's someone else there, and he goes, he hasn't revealed himself. Yeah, I suggest you do, or I will do it for you. This is actually Hood. Namor looks ridiculous. You can't even tell that's him with the fucking ball. I mean, holy shit. And then Hood is kind of testing Emma, and Emma forces him to turn his own gun in his mouth just to show you how fucking powerful Emma Frost is. You got Loki shows up, and Osborn lays the steel down. They all pretty much, they take it. There's some cool dialogue back and forth. But what I wanted to point out was how close Namor and Doom are here. Even at the end, everybody else leaves, but these two are together. And they pretty much, Doom's like, dude, just let him set us all up. He will implode, and when it's all over, you'll get the seas, I'll get the land. So they kind of have their own little backdoor deal here. And Namor's like, what if he doesn't? And, Doom's originally thinking, well, dude, it's in his nature. But he says, if he doesn't, then we'll have a battle on our hands, the likes of which this dimension has never seen. So nice little future tease here. You got the swordsman here. He shows up to Thunderbolt Mountain, and Thunderbolts are done. He's challenging Osborn, and Osborn fucking snaps and stabs him straight, impales him, throws him off the mountain, kills him, and he's like fucking snapping. So, even though he's a hero in public's eyes, he's still Norman Osborn. He's still fucked up. We had a little Secret Warriors preview, but we're gonna hop into the Dark Avengers. This is, I guess, part 3 of this. So Norman's now in charge. He knows that the public loves these symbols. So, Captain America was a symbol. Iron Man was a symbol. Cap's dead. Iron Man's a fugitive. He knows he needs a team of Avengers, but the Avengers aren't going to work for him. So what does he do? Well, he recruits the damn Thunderbolts and turns them into Avengers. We also see Morgan Le Fay here, who we've talked about. Adrian did a hidden gem on Morgan a while back. Well, this Avengers team here. You got, oh, fuck, this guy is on the end. There's Mr. Marvel. You got Sentry. You got Captain Marvel. You got, Iron Patriot here. I don't think we've had an Iron Patriot in the comics yet, but here he is. Ares, the God of War. You got a Wolverine standing a little zesty. You got a Hawkeye in the back, and you got Black Suit Spider-Man. So seeing this at first, like, wait a minute. How the fuck's he got all these motherfuckers? He hires this chick here, Vanessa Hand, something like that. He goes personally to fire Maria Hill. He recruits Bullseye. Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers is like, I'm resigning. She bounced. He then goes to recruit somebody else in her place. Right here. What's her name? Fucking Moonstone. He recruits her to be Ms. Marvel. So Norman's putting together his team of lookalikes, pretty much. Impostors. They even bring this scroll to feed Venom. Venom asks him to turn into Spider-Man. He eats him. But then they give Venom this pill, this potion, some kind of fucking some kind of contraption here to turn him into a much smaller version of Venom. Looks just like the black suit Spider-Man. So Norman is making his own Avengers. This is Dakin, I believe I'm saying that right, Wolverine's son, who they got a pretty, let's say they don't have the best father and son relationship. Norman recruits him to be Wolverine of the Avengers, recruits this fella here to be Captain Marvel. He's some Kree warrior. And he mentions that the team's missing something. It's missing some type of symbol, which leads them. Now, the other thing is Norman now has access to the Avengers Tower and everything, because when Tony rebuilt this, he used S.H.I.E.L.D.'s funds, if you remember, which we read. And because he was fired from S.H.I.E.L.D. and now Norman runs S.H.I.E.L.D., well, he's got access to all this shit. So he's got all these suits. What does he do? We'll get to that. Doom's being dropped off in Latveria. Latveria is destroyed. Well, who's there? Morgan motherfucking Le Fay is there tearing shit up. But heading back here, he's got the team together: Captain Marvel, Sentry, Ms. Marvel, Ares, Wolverine, Hawkeye, the Amazing Spider-Man. And then the Iron Patriot is none other than Norman Osborn himself. So the thing about this is the whole idea here is the public doesn't, first of all, they don't know who a lot of these heroes are. They don't really give a shit about who's behind the mask, as long as it looks like the Avengers to them. Bullseye becomes Hawkeye. Public's not going to know the difference. Moonstone becomes Ms. Marvel. Public ain't going to know the difference. Venom shrinks down and becomes Spider-Man. They ain't going to know the difference. Dakin becomes Wolverine. As long as he don't stand like that, they ain't going to know the difference. And he did actually somehow convince Ares and Sentry to stay. So as long as they look familiar, and as long as the team that, is getting rid of the bad guys, it's a perfect setup for Norman. There's a lot of seeds being planted for what's coming next. Dark Reign is a fun, it's a great read. It's a good story. I've only read it once, so week to week for me, a lot of this is going to feel like new, because I don't remember every last detail. Couple things, though, to take away from here is in that first Cabal meeting, Namor and Doom, they have this mutual understanding. They know they're superior to everybody else. They know that shit. And let's just say that when the incursions start happening down the road, this comes back into play. Osborn putting the villains in charge of saving the world kind of shifts everything in the universe. It's kind of prepares us for a lot of shit that happens in Hickman's time runs out run. I'll leave that there. I don't want to spoil anything. But just remember this. Right now, the Avengers, the real Avengers, they're broke, they're fucking homeless, and they're being hunted by a team that's dressed up like them, essentially. This is a dark motherfucking timeline here. It's why it's called Dark Reign. It's why it's the Dark Avengers. So giddy up, buckle up. We're going to have some fun over the next few weeks. This whole run has been fun for me. I'm also curious, too, how many of y'all listen over watch, because I know I show the comics on here, but I've been trying to do a better job of just having those up, but talking through them more. I know a lot of y'all are at work, driving, whatever, and may not be able to see the actual comic art. Well, one of them, you're probably lucky you didn't see it. So what are we at? Where are we going next week, you ask? Next week, we're going to read 2, 3, and 4 of Dark Avengers. So we ended with Dark Avengers 1, where Osborn just slaps these new costumes on these villains, calls them the Avengers. Next week, Dark Avengers 2, 3, 4. Man, we got some Doom stuff. Latveria, Morgan Le Fay, Magic, oh my God, Sentry, all kinds of shit. And then New Avengers 51. There's some important Doctor Strange stuff in there, which really sets his path towards Secret Wars. So next week, Dark Avengers 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and New Avengers 50 motherfucking 1. All right, couple quick comments before we wrap this thing up. We got the Captain Canada, my man Mike. I think Star Wars shows have been better lately than the last few movies, okay? Just finished Ahsoka season 1, and I thought it was phenomenal. You do need to watch Clone Wars and Rebels to understand it, though. See, that's the fucking problem. I wanted to watch this show, but you aren't the first person that told me that, Cap. In order to watch this show and understand it, I gotta watch these other fucking shows. It's like 10 seasons. I gotta watch hours of fucking content to understand this new show. Man, Obi-Wan show was awesome too, in my opinion. I believe that. I watched a few episodes of that. That is one when I do get over this Star Wars, issue I have. That's one that I will watch. Mando for sure. Boba Fett was mid, not terrible. Andor is my next watch after the Maul show. Heard some good stuff about the Maul show, and I actually heard Andor was really good. The future of Star Wars is bright, especially with Dave Filoni as president of Lucasfilm. Now Kennedy's gone. They got rid of that bitch. They got rid of her like they got rid of Tony. Daredevil episode 4 was amazing. Bullseye was so peak. Yes, he was. Can't wait for the next one. Well, we just saw it, and I can't wait for the next one now. Yes, I saw The Watcher, The Peeping Tom, and very disappointed with Secret Invasion show. What a fucking turd. Yes, you had one job, Marvel. Read a fucking comic. You are right. OG says, Mike, what do you think about WWE TNA from working, or stopping TNA from work from AEW? I don't think about anything AEW related. I think WWE is no longer exist. They might as well call it TKO. That's true. I used to like Star Wars. Lately, it's been boring. Yes, you're right. And then OG also says, I'm still on season 4 of The Boys. Dude, I didn't even watch I didn't watch the new episode this week. I didn't. And then we got Kamikaze Zebra says some shit about when I go on a WWE rant. And you posted a short in here. I'm sure it's some AEW shit. And I'm going to do the same thing I did last time you posted it, Kamikaze. I'm not going to fucking watch it. And then Josh Diaz, Aunt Millie's Bread, who I believe is Pause, says Hot Takes Podcast because he's trying to be a funny guy. Shout out to Pause. Josh Diaz, 23, says, bro, you're 100% right about Obafemi and Brock being the hottest feud. Yes, it is. Leading up to Mania, Pat McAfee can go eat a bag of dicks, go home already. Fuck, yes, he can. Also, watch Super Mario Brothers movie. It wasn't too bad. My son loved it. Personally, though, I still think the first one is better. I agree. Oh, and I know Adrian recommended Close Encounters of the Third Kind, to which was a good movie. There's another one based on actual case studies called The Fourth Kind, and that one's really good, dude. Give it a watch. Anyways, great content, bro, as always, AWOP. Well, I appreciate that, Josh. AWOP, I will add The Fourth Kind to my long, ever-growing list of shit I haven't watched that people tell me I should watch. But I'm probably... Not probably. I gotta fucking finish The Boys. I gotta get on Invincible. I got a lot of shit. But this week's movie of the week is Black Widow, unfortunately. Hopefully it's a little better following Civil War. But this weekend's gonna be jam-packed with WrestleMania shit. So watch TikTok Live. It may pop on during some points of Mania. Do a little, live chatting with y'all. See if y'all are watching it. So that is the motherfucking show. Subscribe if you haven't already. I do appreciate everybody who watches, supports this podcast, and the other two that we're doing. We're building the motherfucking only comics empire here, and we appreciate y'all being a part of it. This was Mike Check. Appreciate y'all checking this out. We'll see you next week.